Great. Well, hello everyone, and my name's Shazia Ahmed, and I'm based in the School of Maths and Stats at the University of Glasgow. I don't think Jenny's here just yet because she's teaching, but she said she'll try and join at some point. So Jenny's the maths advisor in student learning development, and she provides the math support in the more centralised service in the university. So. Like most universities, now we all have a diverse group of students arriving at university with a whole variety of mathematical backgrounds. And post-COVID, we've seen a lack of engagement with classes and with the math support. We've seen poor exam results, and plus also some gaps in students' knowledge with the basic and the more fundamental skills. So these problems are not actually new, but they seem to be more prominent post-COVID. So at University of Glasgow, students take 3 subjects in their first year. So I was interested to hear that Edinburgh have, well, they have a very similar system, but you were saying you had 60 credits that students did in first year. Our students do 40 credits of maths in first year, and then the other 80 are split between the other 2 subjects. And so Maths 1 is the compulsory course for anyone doing a maths, stats, or physics degree. But at the same time, it's also taken as an elective course by many other students. And this year we have a particularly big cohort. We have around 750 students taking Maths 1. So core skills is a component of the Maths 1 course, and it aims to bridge the gap between higher and advanced higher maths. We do have quite a good number of students who arrive with higher maths only. Our Maths 1 course was revamped some years ago, and it was decided at the time to keep higher maths as an entry requirement because changing that to advanced higher only means that it's the widening participation students who are most impacted by this. So there are 5 core skills tests that students are expected to do, and I've got the topics kind of over here. So there's 1 test for each of those topics. The pass mark is 75%, and the students are expected to pass all of them before the end of teaching in semester 2, although it's usually more beneficial if they pass the bulk of them in semester 1. So they can have as many attempts as they like, but just the main thing is that they pass this. And without passing all the core skills, they can't get a pass grade for the whole of the Maths 1 course. So there's also a small problem where a few weeks into semester, things get really, really busy, and students do have 3 subjects. Maths 1's very heavy on continuous assessment, and so core skills can sometimes get forgotten. So anyway, so in the past, I have done something similar to this where I've contacted students prior to arrival, and it used to work quite well. So the theory was that kind of by early September, students are quite excited about starting university. And so if we contact them just before they arrive, we're hopeful that they're going to be engaging with us then. So the VLE that we use at Glasgow is Moodle. But it can't be accessed by students who are not registered. So we're quite lucky in that we have access to an external Moodle. And so we use that to create a resource that consists of a welcome video from the head of core skills. We posted videos for each of the core skills topics, which are mostly from Khan Academy. We posted information about math support and study skills, and it also features a video featuring myself and Jenny, where we tell students about all the math support. And we also, quite importantly, posted a short sample test so that they could just dip into that and get an idea of what to expect. So the students needed to be contacted, so we enlisted help from admissions and then encouraged the students to have a go at some of the materials. And we also offered some drop-in sessions to help them. So when we introduced this pre-arrival resource last year, we offered a drop-in session online in the week before students arrived, and then an in-person one during Freshers Week. So the in-person one was by far the most popular one, and the one on Zoom was, it was really not that well used at all. So this year we decided that we would just offer 2 drop-in sessions during orientation week. Okay, so here's a screenshot from the Moodle resource. So this is our head of skills, and here we've got a few links to videos about complex numbers, and that's just like a little bit of the sample test that we posted on. Okay, so right, before I dive into the engineering part, I should add that I've not really had any involvement in engineering maths since I moved to Maths and Stats a few years ago. But when we were putting together the Maths 1 resource, Jenny felt it would be useful to have a similar thing going for engineering. So engineering have their own maths courses for level 1 and level 2. And they've always had access to math support through the centralised math support service within the university. But post-pandemic, the attendance has gone down quite dramatically. Most of their, or I think all their assessment in first year is all online. And I don't know if there's a connection here or not, but anyway, it's been noted that the students at level 2 are not quite up to speed with some of the concepts that we would expect them to be, quite proficient with. So anyway, with that in mind, a similar resource was created for engineers, and then it was adapted slightly to suit their needs better. So induction and Euclidean algorithm type stuff was removed, and a new topic called Maths Essential was added on. And then what was slightly different here is that there were questions added at the end of each of the individual topics, whereas in the Maths 1 resource, we just added a sample core skills test. So engineering students were all contacted in early September through the school's teaching office. And I'll come back to this contacting student things a little bit later as well. Okay, and here's a little screenshot of what engineering math students get. Okay, so by the start of teaching, we had about 200 students enrolled on the Maths Moodle and 350 on engineering. So maths has got a huge number of students, but it's very difficult to know how to contact them. We can get a student list for those who are doing maths and stats degrees, but there are so many students doing other courses like physics and chemistry and computing. And then, of course, there's all of the students from social sciences and arts who take maths as well. So it was very hard for us to get a list of students to be able to contact them. So that's one reason why we weren't able to contact as many. It was much easier for the teaching office in engineering to get hold of their own students and send them an email telling them about this resource. Seeing as students have been exposed to Moodle and then they've actually had contact with myself and Jenny, we found that the support sessions were better attended for maths than for engineering. We found also that the number of students passing the core skills tests was improved. So sometimes students kind of, as I'd mentioned before, they forget about it, and then there's a mad dash in semester 2, but there were more students completing that in semester 1, which was really good. I believe engineering students get given a diagnostic test at the start of semester, and it was found that the students who had enrolled on this Moodle pre-arrival Moodle course did better than those who hadn't. So the engagement with math support we found last year was still fairly low, but this year, happily, it's improved. Okay, and then we got some feedback from our students, and so we sent them a questionnaire in October, November kind of time. So I've only got access to the math stuff, so I haven't got any of the engineering things here. So we only got like 52 responses from maths, which, fairly disappointing, but I suppose we were happy to get something. So it was sent to the whole class. So many of the respondents, hadn't enrolled on the pre-arrival Moodle, and they said that they hadn't because they didn't know about it. So again, that brings us back to trying to get hold of the list of students who are doing Maths 1, prior to teaching starting. So that's still a little bit of a challenge. But the students who had enrolled, it was quite good. Most of them said they would recommend it to incoming students. Half of them said it increased their confidence. I was rather hoping it would be more than that, but I'll take 50%. And well, it was really nice though that 75% said they felt more welcomed by the university. Glasgow University is huge, and our cohort of students is really large. So I do worry about the fact that they feel like no one knows that they exist, or they're feeling isolated. So this was quite a nice thing that they felt welcomed. Some of the responses that we got about the learning materials seem to be referring to the Maths 1 course Moodle rather than the pre-arrival. So yeah, that was not really all that helpful for us. So for next time, we're going to try and reach out to more of our Maths 1 students, and the retention officer in our college has offered to help, so that would be quite useful. We didn't post answers to the sample tests initially because we wanted students to have a go at the test without dipping into the answer sheet. And I think some of them felt that it took too long to post the answers online. So we'll try and do that a bit earlier next time. Some of the students seem to think that this is a remedial resource. So I'm going to have a look at how we've presented it and how we word our email so that they don't get that impression. So Jenny's the one who looks after the engineering Moodle, and I don't think she's here yet. So, but anyway, for that, she plans to focus more on the higher topics to make sure that all the basics are covered well and students are confident with that. There's some slightly better signposting would help as well. We get a lot of direct entrants into second year, both in maths and in engineering, and it would be quite nice to be able to develop a version of this for them as well. So that's something that we're thinking about and planning. And with engineering in mind, it'd be quite nice to have the school staff involved so that, we can make sure that everything that we are presenting to the students, they find relevant. And actually, that's kind of it from me. So I seem to have finished quite quickly. If anyone's got any questions, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shazia. It's really interesting as well. There is a question. Apologies to people who couldn't see quite all the questions in the Q&A. I've got a different interface here than I'm used to. But I've moved, I think, the questions successfully into a category where you can now see them all. So there is a question, Shazia, from Robert Barham. Do you have any data on whether engagement with pre-sessional materials is substantially different for students who need to work to support themselves during their studies compared to, say, students who are wealthier?
Oh, that's actually very, very interesting. So I think that quite a lot of students have to work to support themselves, but I'm not sure how I would gather that information. But that is actually very interesting. That's something to bear in mind. I'm going to make a note of it. Thank you.
That really is a challenge, is how you might gather that information. There is
Yes.
a further question. Rukia, apologies, I'm not sure I can pronounce your name very well. Rukia Noimaitai. question for you, Shazia. The idea of sharing some resources to prepare for uni maths is excellent. Can academic videos let students misunderstand that university maths can also be learned by watching some summary or highlighted videos? So would they get the wrong impression there?
Well, students do get access to videos of the lectures anyway. So I think unless there's some fault with the recording equipment in lecture theatres, all lectures are recorded and the recordings are made available to students via Moodle. So students do use them if they need to catch up on work. I've also come across students, not very many, I have to say, a few who find it very difficult to go to lectures and engage with lectures, for various reasons like anxiety or whatever. And as I was saying, our classes are huge. Sitting in lecture theatres with hundreds of students, I think stresses them out. So I think they prefer to go and catch up on the recordings. So I'm sure some people just do that anyway, but I don't think that that's the case routinely.
That's an interesting point, and one I wondered about with yours, and also with the Wayne and Paula's talk earlier on, the course being developed jointly with Stephen as well, is around how you ensure that you have the students coming and participating, perhaps with, say, skeleton materials, when they have different learning abilities and when they have different personality traits, and in some cases have reasons why they would struggle in an environment like that.
Well, our Maths 1 lectures are kind of not entirely flipped classrooms, but they are a little bit. The students get given reading to catch up on beforehand. So they do have to read up some material before, and then they have to complete a quiz based on that reading every single week. And the reading quizzes are very short, but it's supposed to give the lecturers an idea of what aspects of that section students are finding more difficult, so they can focus on more of that in the lecture. And also they all use Mentimeter quite a lot in class just to make it more interactive.
Paula, I see your cameras on there. Did you have a thought on that?
Yeah, so I don't think we have really discussed about recording lectures, but we will not have lectures. So our kind of environment will be a workshop environment where recording doesn't make any sense. So the only thing I can say is that we decided to use skeleton notes because there is quite a lot of evidence in the literature that the skeleton notes are good for students in general, but particularly good for students who have difficulties in recording many kind of very long number of facts and so on. So we're hoping that the use of skeleton notes will help the students. I can only say that there is really strong evidence that recording lectures has killed attendance. And I think that this is, I want to say it's a fight that we lost because students don't come to lectures anymore. So.
Yeah. That's probably quite a familiar story across the piece.